So today's class, we are going to deal with two topics. One is electric dipole, and the second topic we are going to see about a torque. So we will see what is an electric dipole, its definition. The electric dipole is a pair of equal and opposite charges which are separated by a very small distance. So this electric dipole should have equal and opposite charges, and they have to be separated by a very small distance. That distance will be equal to 2 into A, or we write it as 2 into L. So this is a definition for an electric dipole. Word itself says it's a dipole. Di means two. So there has to be two charges which are equal and opposite, and they have to be separated by a very small distance. That's the definition for an electric dipole. Electric field which is produced by the dipole, we call it as the dipole field. First definition, what is dipole? Your second definition, what is dipole field? The electric field which is produced by a dipole, you call it as a dipole field. Third definition, you're going to learn what is dipole moment. So this electric dipole moment is a vector quantity, meaning it has both magnitude as well as direction, and it is used to measure the strength of your electric dipole. Now, what is the strength? How much is the value of the electric dipole? That can be measured using the term dipole moment. Keep in mind, it is a vector quantity and it is used to measure the strength of your electric dipole. So all definitions are 2-mark questions. We've done with 3 definitions. First definition is what is dipole, or what is an electric dipole? A pair of equal and opposite charges separated by a very small distance, we call it as a dipole. Dipole field, second definition. Electric field produced by a dipole, we call it as a dipole field. Third definition is dipole moment, or you can call it as electric dipole moment. It is a vector quantity and it is used to measure the strength of the electric dipole. So these are the 3 terms. The next thing is you can pictorially represent a dipole, or you can draw a diagram for a dipole. You should have 2 charges which are equal and opposite. Q and Q are the values. Opposite because one is negative and the other one is positive, and they have to be separated by a small distance. So that distance of separation will be denoted with the symbol 2L. Then we call it as a dipole. This whole arrangement of 2 equal and opposite charges separated by a small distance 2L, we call it as a dipole. Draw a dipole. This is how you have to draw. 2 charges, mention the distance of separation, that should be denoted by 2L. And moment is denoted by the symbol P. I already told you, moment is a vector quantity and it is used to measure the strength of your dipole. Since it's a vector, we write this arrow mark on top. So P denotes your dipole moment. If you have to write a formula for dipole moment, formula is P equals Q into 2L. That is charge multiplied by the distance, and it is multiplied by I cap. I cap here denotes your unit vector. So what is the formula for dipole moment? Means P equals Q into 2L. Q is the charge and 2L is the distance between the 2 charges. The magnitude of your electric dipole moment will be the product of magnitude of either one of the charges and distance between the 2 charges. That's why we wrote the formula as Q into 2L, meaning to say magnitude should be the product of one charge and the distance between them. So you just keep in mind P equals Q into 2L. That is the formula for electric dipole moment. The next point we are going to discuss is what is the direction of your dipole. See, you know the direction of electric field lines will always start from positive and end at negative. It's the opposite if you take a dipole. See, the dipole moment's direction is always from negative towards the positive. Look at your diagram. You have minus q here and plus q. See the direction of P? It is from negative towards your positive. So fix that in your mind. If it is dipole moment, the direction is always from negative towards your positive charge. SI unit of dipole moment is coulomb meter. All these are 1-mark questions. What is the SI moment of P? P is dipole moment. So your answer will be coulomb meter. Keep in mind it is a vector. First point, dipole moment. Second point, it is used to measure the strength of your dipole. Third point, its formula is P is equal to Q into 2L. Fourth point, it always starts from negative and moves towards the positive. SI unit is coulomb meter. Symbol capital C and you write it as small m. Now you have to note a point here. Ideal dipole is the dipole in which charge becomes larger and larger and the separation becomes smaller and smaller. So this value of Q should become bigger and bigger, and the distance to L, distance between the two charges, should become smaller and smaller. That is when we can tell it is an ideal dipole. What is an ideal dipole means? Strength should increase and distance of separation should decrease. Technically, instead of using the word strength, we tell the magnitude of the charges should increase and the distance of separation has to decrease. That is an example for an ideal dipole. So these are the points you have to discuss regarding a electric dipole. So it is a pair of equal and opposite charges separated by a very small distance, and dipole field is the field produced by a dipole. Dipole moment is a vector quantity and we use it to measure the strength of your electric dipole. Formula is P is equal to Q into 2L. This direction will always be from negative towards your positive. SI unit will be coulomb meter. Ideal dipole is the dipole in which the charge becomes larger and larger and the separation becomes smaller and smaller. How to draw it is given for you here.